So where do y'all want to begin? We have old heads talking shit. Old heads talking shit. And I mentioned this a couple of pods ago where, I told y'all that there's some people that will ride or die with Bill Russell as their GOAT. There's some people that will ride or die with Big O, with, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And there's some people that will ride with Dr. J. And one of those people is Dr. J. Dr. J out here putting all his feelings in the atmosphere. And it made some waves because he doesn't have Michael Jordan as his number one shooting guard of all time. I don't know why that's surprising to people, because if you remember how Dr. J was at the slam dunk contest, I mean, Dr. J was a worse judge than like D Wade. At least D Wade, when he was a slam dunk contest judge, he was trying to, fix it for his mans. Dr. J was out here just trying to make sure nobody won. Like, it was a different type of conversation. But yeah, he has Jerry West over Michael Jordan in terms of his best shooting guard. His first team is all old heads like himself. Big O, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, rest in peace, Bill Russell, and Wilt, rest in peace. This is what he has. But his second team is basically all dudes he played against in the 80s. He's got Magic at point, Jordan at the 2, Bird at the 3, Karl Malone, the pedophile, molesting, sexual harassing Vanessa Bryant Karl Malone at the 4, and then he has Kareem at the 5. So he found a way to squeeze in the 3 best centers of all time in 2 teams. He's got Bill Russell at the 4. Bill Russell never played the 4, but if you're putting Wilt out there, Wilt has to be your 5. No matter what Shaq says, no matter what, people feel Embiid's ceiling can be, the greatest center of all time is Wilt Chamberlain. So by any list that doesn't have Wilt as your starting 5, I mean, it's a little fraudulent. So you go Wilt, but Bill Russell at the 4, that's kind of a cheat code type thing. But yeah, the main thing is that he doesn't have Jordan as his starting 2, and also his comments about LeBron. And also, Charles Oakley said something too, and we'll get to that in a second, because he's kind of saying something that I've been saying here on this pod. But yeah, doesn't believe in LeBron because LeBron has had the whole super team thing. I think, what's the quote here? He's the guy who has led the charge of super teams. And, you can make that case, and I'm not saying he's wrong. From the modern era NBA, yes, LeBron was the first. Well, actually, you could say the Celtics, but really that took a lot of trades. The only real free agent move was Ray Allen, right? I think Ray Allen was the only one because Paul DeFraud Pierce was already there. They traded for KG, and then I believe Ray Allen decided to pull up. I believe that's how that went. But in this modern era of, we free agents, we all going to go to the same squad, yes, LeBron is the catalyst for that. And you see what KD has done, taken it to the next level with the AAU layer to it. But yes, LeBron is the first one to do this whole super team thing in this modern era with free agency. And I think that's the key here. And that's why the old heads don't really take teams like the Lakers that had 4 Hall of Famers, teams like the Celtics that had 4, 5, 6 Hall of Famers, or even those Sixer teams that Dr. J was on that had 4 or 5 Hall of Famers. They don't look at those teams in the same way as this modern era. Those teams were either drafted or through trades acquired all that talent. Whereas today, in this modern era with free agency being the way that it is, you can all decide together as a group to openly go move in unison. And that's where the old heads feel that's a problem. That's where it becomes problematic because they had no choice. You got drafted who you got drafted by. You got traded to whoever you got traded to, and you had no say in the matter. If you were fortunate enough, remember, Charles Oakley as a rookie was coming off the bench for the Sixers because he had a whole bunch of dudes in front of him that were nice, that were Hall of Famers. You have the Lake Show that drafted Magic, drafted James Worthy, traded for Kareem. That's 3 right there. You had the Celtics that drafted Bird, drafted McHale. I think they traded for Dennis Johnson. Chief, I believe, was in the league before. So they probably traded for Chief, signed Bill Walton. It was amassing. It was a building of a team still. You could get away with the rhetoric of those teams were built. They would just so happen to be built with Hall of Famers. Whereas today, you have Kyrie and KD planning years out. Yo, we're going to go hoop in New York. I don't know if it's going to be the Knicks or Brooklyn, allegedly. But we're going to go hoop in New York. And they make it happen. Oh, James wants out? Yo, dogs, go ahead and tank that in H-Town. And then we're going to come through, throw a whole bunch of draft picks and some ancillary pieces to come scoop you up. Come join the squad. Oh, LaMarcus, you want to get out of San Antonio? All right, word. Yo, so go ahead and make that happen. Get that buyout and then pull up over here. Kia Jumper, you claiming you can't dunk. You're trying to tank your way out of Detroit. All right, keep tanking, acting like you can't dunk even though you 6'9", and then you can pull up over here. And then your first bucket, as I predicted, will be a dunk. That in itself is a little different than how it was in the 70s and 80s and even a sprinkle into the 90s where you had to trade for dudes and hope on a prayer that it would work. Barkley got traded to Houston to go hoop with Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde the Fraud Drexler, and no, Scotty was there, right? Was that the Scotty year? They had Scotty, Hakeem, Barkley. That was supposed to be a big 3. It was a train wreck. Didn't work. That was an attempt at an alleged super team. But it was truly through trades. It wasn't like Hakeem, Scotty, and Chuck got together years prior and said, yo, we're going to make this happen. Once dudes were already going to be traded somewhere, then players might have tried to use whatever power they have at that time to try to at least trade me here. Whereas today, you could get bought out and go wherever the hell you want. Today, you can plot on your free agency year and make it so that a team through back channels is aware that you're coming so that they can create the cap space necessary for when you and your mans in them pull up. So Dr. J, is he really an old head? Is he really wrong for his take? LeBron was the catalyst for the super team in the modern era. I don't think that should not merit him being on someone's top 5 or top 15 in this case. But yeah, I'm not mad at Dr. J at all. LeBron is not in his top 10. Yeah, you're gonna have old heads like that. I told you a couple episodes ago how these old heads are. I grew up around them. And there are definitely old heads who feel that way. There are definitely old heads who still feel that way. They feel like, Dr. J crawled so Jordan could walk, so Kobe could run, so LeBron could fly. Like, that's a real thing. People still of a certain era, of a certain generation, will go to their graves feeling like that. So the second part of this is Charles Oakley. And as someone that's been around Charles Oakley, has had the pleasure of speaking to Charles Oakley on a few occasions through my work experience, you don't want to cross Charles Oakley. And you better listen when Charles Oakley speaks. Whether it's about you or not, just pay attention and show all respect to Charles Oakley when he speaks. You don't want to be like Tyrone Hill, bruh. Hope say, don't go Eric Benet. Yeah, bruh. Don't go Tyrone Hill. If you don't know that story, Google is your friend. So Oakley came out and basically said, I don't know why y'all bugging over this whole Zion thing. This Zion thing isn't a thing. He's nothing special. No one could play defense on him, essentially is what Oakley said. He said the way to stop him is you got to put a body on him. But because of the rules and because of well, I don't want to spit it like how Oakley did, because he put some spice on it. But basically the mentality of today's player, that's the best way I could clean that up, isn't one that would be tough enough to have to do what you have to do to stop someone with the size of Zion. Also, the rules are different. You know what I'm saying? You can't hand check like back in the day. You can't really body up like you used to be able to do in the paint, in the post, and things like that. So Oakley's like, yeah, bro, it's nothing special, but he's just a dude that, is taking advantage of the fact that he has a certain size, and along with the lack of rules, he can get it off. But he's nothing special. And yeah. Look, man, I've listened to this pod enough, and if you haven't listened to the pod a lot and this is your first time, the archives are right there. But yeah, I've done a few episodes on how I have not been in favor of this whole Zion train and this whole, undeniable momentum and this undeniable marketing push by the league to make Zion be the next one if and when LeBron ever decides to bounce. It's nothing special. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. I don't know what you're going to enjoy. He's getting a lot of shots now. Stan Van has fully committed to getting Zion his shots. He has advantages most nights because most guys just aren't as big as him. But then he goes up against other dudes and other real bigs, and then he has trouble. He could run around certain dudes because of his size and the fact that he's shorter than them, so he can leverage his body against them. But when it comes to just night in, night out, is he going to be the number one option on a championship contending team? My answer is still no. You may not see it now, but you'll see it in a few years. It's not going to be that. I don't know where the evolution in his game is going to come to where he takes the type of steps I need to see for him to be like, oh, okay, it's different now. Like you see, Giannis is actually trying now. Giannis is trying to develop a secondary move. You can go back in the archives again and check. I was out here a year ago saying, yo, Giannis does not have a secondary move. That was the name of the pod. That's the name of the episode. Giannis does not have a secondary move. And people were calling me out. Yo, dog, this is an MVP. He about to get another one. How you going to say how he make it to the NBA and he don't got a secondary? Like, all right, well, what's the secondary move? Do you see one? Do you see one? Because I don't see one. He's a rim runner, and he has the ball downhill, and he could take 3 steps from half court and be at the rim. That's unstoppable. That doesn't mean you're a number one option. That doesn't mean you're an MVP. But, what's the Goody Mob lyric? Listen to me now, believe me later on. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is in a lot of things, but it is what it is.